a seat, sip some wisdom, and stay a while. This is the Prosperity Lounge, where growth gets personal. Step inside, we're breaking chains.
How you doing?
Oh wow, okay. We're here. Perfect. I apologize. Somebody kicked the cord and the power went out on the mic system, and we're here live, and everything that could go wrong went wrong for about 30 seconds. And there goes my windscreen thing just went there. My pop for this fell on the floor. If my wife can get that for me, it'd be great. We're awesome. This is how it's going. So we are here at the Gubernatorial Forum that is being run by the Young Republicans. It's East Tennessee. We're here, and we're going to have Monty Fritz and John Rose live on stage. Let's see what it's going to look like. There's a little stage area for them right there. Later on, I'm going to pop this up, make this larger for them. I'll be commenting in the bottom corner of what's going on. We'll watch the video, just kind of be here to see what's happening. If you got questions for them, I'm going to try to get them to come on after the debate, or more, the forum. Sit down and see if we can get them to sit down with us. Monty's kind of over there right now. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we'll do a little chat survey. Put in the chat, who do you think is going to end up sitting down and interviewing with us? Is it going to be Monty, or is it going to be John Rose, or Monty Fritz, or both? None of them. It better be one of them, because we've interviewed Monty before. We've interviewed Monty before, so Monty will be here. Marsha is not here. She is not here right now. Fix the lighting on myself here. Just getting everything all set up and working. Let's see, we get the little. Oh, there we go. Hey.
Ever since Vatican II, they basically.
I don't know somebody's calling me right now on my phone. It's my campaign manager, Eric, but I can't answer it because I'm live streaming.
He probably saw the thing.
Probably saw the post earlier. There's so much going on, guys, right now in the world of politics and the world of just everything. Hey, everybody.
I never show up, but hey, I'm Bettina.
This is my
I'm the
executive producer, my wife, the better half. Hey, somebody said Monty in the chat. Yeah, Monty for the win. Yeah. Hey, how you doing? John Steinberg. Yeah, kudos East Tennessee Republicans for pulling off the first of the election cycle. Yeah, early voting starts next week. There you go. And we got Monty. Somebody's saying Monty's going to sit down. Now, we interviewed Monty before on the show back in January. You can check the videos. There he is right there. He's coming over a little bit to talk. So see if I can get him to sit down with us. Beforehand. Monty, how you doing, sir? I'm doing fantastic. Hey, you just won the bet. I said, who's going to come over first and talk to me, Monty or John? Monty came over and said hello, so he wins.
You're still the smoothest interview.
I'm putting that on a shirt. All right, so that was Monty. Monty Fritz came over and said hello, so therefore, whoever said Monty won.
You'll have to put a picture in your signature.
I am the smoothest interview of Monty. That's awesome to hear. We had a blast talking for an hour on all things East Tennessee and Tennessee in general, and it was just a lot of fun being able to talk to him and learn more about his career and stuff. And it's interesting with Monty. He was in the military when he was younger, then left the military, and then went back into the military when he was older, like close to 40, and re-enlisted. I think he reenlisted right after 9/11, and so it was crazy. Yeah, Terry runs the fan page. Yeah, he is awesome. Thank you so much for there. Has anyone else ever been even? Has anyone ever been far even? I don't know what you mean by that. Broadband. I'm trying to decipher that. There you go. Stan Durko. Cool. Appreciate the comment. But we are going to go ahead and remove that. So, bye-bye. Okay. So this debate thing is going to start, or forum's going to start right around, Yep. So we're going to get ready to get started probably at the top of the hour. And yeah, we're good to go here. Everybody's kind of a little pathway behind us where we're set up here at the live stream, kind of media row section. And glad to see everybody here watching. We got a bunch of people through all the different channels watching us right now. Thank you very much. Again, we are here in East Tennessee and Knoxville, Tennessee, for the Young Republicans, which is basically like, it's not just the Knoxville or Knox County Young Republicans. It's like 10 Knox County or 10 young Republican groups have gotten together and put on this forum for the mayor candidate or the governor candidates in Tennessee. So you got John, I'll let you know in a second, John, but John Rose, Monty Fritz, and Marsha Blackburn were invited. Monty Fritz right away said yes. John Rose took a little convincing. He's here. Marsha Blackburn was invited, but didn't attend. So she is not here. And yeah, so we have 2 out of the 3. How many people in Jewelry TV attendance? A couple hundred at least right now. I think it holds 400 people. It's not quite as full as it should be, but there's definitely a good crowd here right now. I'm going to get ready to turn the camera around and get ready to start the event. And pop myself there. Let's get that camera out. All right. Perfect. All right. So we're going to be the only 10 I say thank you, recovering cynic. I appreciate that. Yeah. I started drinking earlier.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm going to try a few things with the yeah, thanks. Stay curious. That's a block right there. I'm going to be respectful in the chat. You're going to come in and just spew hate. You're not going to be here very long. So thank you very much. I'm on a couple different areas. 8647. We're going to go ahead and take off this little center stage thing here because I think what we're having is some issues with just kind of it moving a bunch, and I'm not really happy with that. So let's take that off. I did like the fact that it was zooming in a bit there. We'll play around a bit and see how it goes. I would say if you got questions for the chat, let me know. Have you seen Brian around? Yeah, Brian's here. Brian will be very curious and excited to know that his fans are in my chat right now. Terry, I'm not sure which fan page you're referring to. I'd love to be able to post a link there. Can you mention it in the chat, and I'll be happy to post the link there. You can also post the link yourself if you want to too. I give permission to do that as well. That'd be awesome. Please use whatever stream you're in right now, probably the Prosperity Lounge stream. We got fans of Brian in the chat.
Hey, Brian.
We got fans of yours in my chat here. Stuart.
Where's Brian?
Yeah, Stuart Gorman says, have you seen Brian around? Brian's here. Go check it. You can stay on my stream all you want, or you can go check his out, which is a little boring. Come stay here. I got that one forced in there and my thing over here. Yep. All right, hold on. Let's pop this out a little bit there. See, there you go. There's Brian. All right. Everybody's sitting over here. We got John Rose kind of over here, just blocking everything. Go. His lapel mic getting ready to go. Okay, at Monty Fritz page on Facebook. Yeah, let me see what I can do there, buddy. Let me see what I can do here. I got to copy the link here. I can't do that. All right. Well, I can't do that right now. So that's Bootsy. All right. View your channel. Yep. All right, let me go to that page you just said. It's called the Monty Fritz fan page. Okay, let me get there. I do see that. I'm going to post it right now. It may have you have to go in and like allow it, but all right, just post it in there for you. There you go. All right, yep, just put it on there. Yeah, Allison's right there too, right next to him. All right. Well, I think because of the short feed, the way the camera is right now, it's kind of focused right on the table. If I fix the table around or the camera around, it's going to fix the feed. So they're going to be right there. I think we're going to be good on that. Most people are watching horizontal or vertical right now, so we're having a good time. If I do portrait mode, if I do center stage, kind of zoomed it back out a bit, but that's going to pick up on somebody and have them walk around. I think we're all right. We'll get this going. Arm wrestling, yeah, that'd be great. Well, now I fixed it. Now this woman's in the way. So. We're here. Regime change is coming in Farragut. Yeah, I sure hope so. It's been a long election process so far. Early voting is in a week, and we are about a month away from the final vote. And basically, we are having a blast, running, knocking on doors, meeting people. But some people put out some just horrible vitriol, man. So we had to deal with some Facebook stuff before we got here today, and it was pretty crazy. But yeah, it is what it is, man. They got nothing else to say. They say nothing. So let them talk. Let them talk. I'm just gonna keep cool and not respond. Doesn't bother me. I'll let the votes respond on Monday. We're having a forum in Farragut. Come on out, sit down, give some support, and yeah. So the way I've heard this is going to work tonight is basically the candidates are going to go up and they're going to give their opening statements and talk a little bit, and then when there's Q&A, it's going to be this kind of like back and forth Q&A, like a 1-1, 2-2 kind of thing. So the first person's going to get one question, the second person will get two questions, and then two questions, and then two questions, and back and forth. Uh, and basically, what I heard was that one of the candidates didn't want to be out with the other candidate at the same time. So instead of them both being out there answering questions, one will answer questions and walk to their way, and then they'll answer a question and walk away, and that's it. Lynn Missouri. So this is the Young Republicans of East Tennessee. We're having a gubernatorial forum between two of the Republican candidates, John Rose and Monty Fritz. Marsha Blackburn, who is quote unquote the favorite, was invited and has chosen not to attend. Has chosen not to attend a lot of events that I've seen. So, yeah.
I wish you lived around. I'd be asking you to vote for me against Briggs. Hey, Ken. Sorry, we're going to start talking. Probably this, but like.
Thank you for somebody on your team fixing my sign today. Yeah.
It wasn't me because I would tell you I'd done it.
I
did hear somebody's been stealing my signs around North Knoxville. Yeah, exactly.
Kent Morrell signs. They're worth a pretty penny.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right.
If you did it so far down the list of text messages, I think we just kind of talked about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please find your seat. Including you there at home. Just find your seat. I think that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the East Tennessee Young Republican Gubernatorial Forum. This is the first gubernatorial forum in the state of Tennessee with 2 out of 3 candidates under the state roof. We're extremely excited to be hearing them speak tonight. My name is Austin Ryderson. I'm the chair of the Knox County Young Republican. I'm honored to be hosting the 10 different counties across East Tennessee. See, one of the goals that we have with East Tennessee Young Republicans is to build a strong community of young conservatives to push back and combat the growing influence of political. Year after year, we're told that we're losing this country, our culture. So if you're wondering what to get involved and you want to end this, let's find a table right here that gets you activated in council. Tonight is really just about choosing the next governor. It's about the next generation of leadership. And you're wondering what our country or state is going to look like, or the public will look like in post-presidential President Trump role. Well, it's what's going to go on? Again, I look around this room. The future belongs to us. It depends on people. You want to show up, you want to. So, John Rose, I think we want us tonight, and we appreciate your prayers. We appreciate your engagement and support. And I hope tonight we can go further ado, please join me, the moderator for tonight, called East Tennessee Josh Wood.
Dear God, I thank you for this day. Thank you for us. Most of all, for the Lord Jesus Christ, who came to earth as a man, lived a perfect life that we could not live. He rose, he died on the cross for our sin, and rose again on the day, and ascended back into the heavens as King of Kings, Lord of Lords, ones of whom we will all give an account. You have blessed us as people, as a nation, in ways we have. We pray that you grant us as collected, the terms that you will restore us yourself. Pray for our state. Pray that the voters are about a way that would honor you. Pray specifically for this race. Pray that the person who will honor and glorify you and pleasing to you will be elected. Pray that you in our time together. It's in Jesus' name. Pray. Amen. So again, thank you so much for being here. Quickly, I will tell us our agenda tonight, then we'll get right into the program. So we will begin with opening statements, where we will begin at 5 minutes each. Chapters come up, insert and come into questions. We'll try as many as we can as time allows. Then we will get to statements. So with that being said, 21st. Frederick.
Monty
Fritz, here's your Bible. Then we're going to start with a little bit about I'm a Tennessee first, American national sovereign, citizen only, small budget, stop overreach of government. Keep your hands off my God-given rights, including my firearms. Get your foolish overreach into what drugs or vaccines I take or my children. I'm going to get a little bit in trouble with that. Hey, listen, I think the best indicator for what a man's going to do is what a man has done. We have the opportunity to win another thing that the government of the state of Tennessee that has successfully carried second against I'm the only and that's problematic across the spectrum. There are too many big names in politics in Nashville and DC. They're all willing to stand up and fight. My last bill that we just got passed, I think it's going to do some real damage to that. I hope it does. I don't personally. Watershed is in an extreme drought condition. We should be standing up against states that are cloud seeding and harvesting additional rainfall. I'll continue to take that fight into the legislation that would ban mRNA and self-amplifying mRNA for both veterinary and humans in the state of Tennessee. Because I mean, I can't expect successful legislation later. I hear young people all the time talking about the affordability crisis. They tell me the number one reason is because we have so many rooftops consumed by 20 million people who are living. We need pain until we pull it. I'm also doing service. I love y'all. Each and every one. I love you, fellow Tennesseans, fellow Americans. I'm asking for your vote tonight. I'm gonna love you if you don't vote for me, because the reason I'm doing this is not because I have any desire to acquire another title. Papa is the best title I think I will do. But I feel called to God to do this. The heaviest burden that we carry, it's in trouble in the wrong way. I think that leaders of government.
Big standing ovation to Monty Fritz after this opener. John Rose getting ready to go. That was John Rose.
Tennessee Republicans for hosting the forum. You know, it's important that we have an opportunity to hear and early in the race, before anyone else joined me, for 5 months, I said, we should have this opportunity to see who might want to be the next governor. It's good to be with you, and thank you for hosting this event tonight. And thank you, Representative Fritz, for being here and for your participation in the process of finding the next leader for the state of Tennessee. I'm John Rose. I'm a Christian. I'm a husband. I'm a father to these 2 great little boys, Guy and Sam. I'm a farmer to the 8th generation of Tennessee farmers. I'm a business person. All the grace of God, for all the glory of God, I say, I'm an 8th generation Tennessee. This morning I woke up and I was over in the mountains of East Tennessee, and it's a beautiful place. When I wake up at home, I look out across the vista there at our farm and see the things that I guess I was playing 30 years ago. And I can't help but being along. And I get to be the custodian of that land and the steward of that. Always turn to the future. I think about where will this state be 200 the interim between now. That is what motivates me. That is what caused me to declare back a year ago to run for governor. So it's great to be with you tonight. Now, as I think about this quest to be the next governor of Tennessee, I can't help but think about the challenges that our state faces. So what we see, on what we need in the leader of this state. Today I saw the legislator. I've got to frankly, I don't think that is the job. The job of being governor, the job of leading the state. In my job as a legislator today, I have to decide whether to push the green button or push the red button. I have to vote yes or no. I do that right. I think about that a lot. Right? The point is, I finished with that. We're not doing it largely. We hand it to the president. We hand it to the governor. They're the ones who taking that idea and making it into reality. I've done that in my business. I took just an idea, nothing but an idea, and turned it into a successful business, creating a source of jobs in Tennessee, educating certified professionals all over the world. So I know what my true idea is. And that's what attitude we pick to be, because there are serious challenges facing our state. We're talking about many of those tonight. I'll tell you, I'm ready to go to work one day, roll up my sleeves, be on the job training as I do. And so that is the argument I would make to you for why you should pick me to be the next governor. We're going to have a vigorous discussion. I've been traveling across the state to all 95 counties last year. And just in the last few months, I've been to 50 of our county councilors. We have an open forum to invite everyone who wants to come, and I take unfiltered questions. So I'm looking forward to the conversation tonight. I look forward to this discussion.
That was John Rose.
We'll start with our young Republicans. Young Republican question. Give each candidate 5 minutes. First question. Rose will start beginning.
All right, I'm going to try to repeat the question as that come out.
The most popular submitted question about transportation. So in our nation, we have seen the effect of mass immigration culture on our life and safety. How do you plan to help President Trump's mass deportation effort for illegal alien?
Questions on mass deportations in Tennessee.
And sometimes we talk about just voting yes or no. We miss that our constituents in the lead. We led that even while illegitimate Joe Biden was still in the White House. We passed legislation that illegal the state of Tennessee to incarcerate. I think we have to have led in residents has to be considered in granting the bond. That is because deporting illegals is so we've been leading in those areas while others have not led. Instead, I offered excuses while they've not done anything. This year, we had more legislation in the General Assembly to help with that. As governor, you've got my commitment. It's going to be a force of Tennessee Highway Patrol, Tennessee Homeland Security, human trafficking. These people that are sending the illegals into our state, allowing them to come in, we must also address the employees who are using aliens for labor. We must make conditions tough on the employers. To be honest, other human beings are paying you under the table. There's a human trafficking element in that, and we must take that. There will be the penalties for human trafficking. Unfortunately, we have the courage to go. They need to show their leadership. That we must. Our state is in much risk now because we have allowed those to come in here and from you're paying for health care, you're paying for housing, and you're paying for education. That's not being the case in Tennessee. Last year that would have required every child that goes into public school, their parents to submit a birth certificate, other documentation. The child had the right to school. And it's not. It's those little created that of God's children have been brought. He needs to behave that way in Tennessee. This is an electoral our posterity look back on this. Because if you I'll close with it. Some of the cancel culture media like to refer to me as a Christian. Well, I'll just break that down for you folks and make sure that it's straight. I will not deny. He is me. provision. We must not they is our nation. To follow what the Tennessee Constitution very clearly says that all individual right to worship within the dictates of the Constitution. And my friends, that's a God of love.
Congressman Rose, same question for you. How do you plan to help Trump's mass deportation effort?
And fall away. I'm first going to tell you what I've done. Then I'm going to tell you what I've been hearing as we've traveled across Tennessee, listening to Tennesseans. And then finally, I'll tell you what I would do if I'm elected to be the next governor of Tennessee. So what have I done? You know, I ran for Congress because I was absolutely convinced that President Trump had the right vision for the story. In 2020, to get what motivated me to go. What the obviously, in my first 7 years in Congress, it didn't work out well. I lost the majority in the House, and the president was out by a horrendous election in 2020. But I don't let that deter me from continuing to pursue this very issue. So in 2021, after we had lost the presidency and I was in the minority, we organized on the Republican side the Republican group led by then majority or minority leader Kevin McCarthy. And I went to looking at what we were doing because Joe Biden was the president. He had just so let people come in. So what did we do? We fought in those days in the minority to try to implement laws. We were in the minority. Those bills went nowhere. So then, thankfully, in 2024, we all remember that day in November when we won back control of Congress. President Trump was elected to be the 47th president of the United States. And I was there back. So the last 18 months have been a miraculous time in terms of getting things under control. Now, President Trump proved you can control your border without a Congress. Stop the flow of inflation. Just and for many months now, we've had there was a job for Congress to do, and I did my part. We passed the One Big Beautiful Law and provided the president $107 billion to complete the law, to hire the agents, the ICE agents, 1,000 of them, to help force getting illegals out of our country, to provide the technology to monitor our border. And that bill included ending for new arrivals to the country. Those are the things that I've done. If you don't remember, passed that bill, one single Democrat helped. Now, what am I hearing from Tennesseans? They want Tennessee to do everything it can, the national government, do everything it can to illegals coming here. So a woman here in Tennessee who came to me to share with me the tragic illegal alien accident. It was clear that that illegal alien was culpable for that accident, but he was not prosecuted. He came to Florida because he had to live pain, knowing that the person has faced no consequences. We will not let that happen. Those are the things that we do. start by making sure that Tennessee does everything it can to stay all sure that there is no state. That we are not giving benefit or safe haven to in this state. And we will provide the support we'll work hard every day to make sure that this is magnet.
In let's our nation building easy Christianity under attack. Our heritage, our culture, and our people. So our question is, how do we protect Christian culture when it is under attack by the political left and threat by the growing foreign?
Thank you. This is a very good question, and I think it's a better place and with my person, I was behind Christ in fourth grade. The time I was working with my dad in the hot summer days was great fun. She came and announced to me, "No, you're going to vacation house." And you know, mom had to say, I don't know where your kids are. And she knew that that was that I was first. I said, "Oh, maybe that so that the young man was baptized as a young man. And that defines everything. It's the top priority for everything I do. I think it goes without saying that we are I've tried to be a good mentor, provide a good Christian witness, try to help bring people to Christ. In my role in government, Congress, get together and talk about what government does. So we work together, propose to pass legislation, provide amicus briefs, very important as it relates to religious freedom, liberty. We advance those causes. I have 100% pro-life voting rights to be Congress. So I have told my staff I'm going to and introduce any legislation they see the influence of religions that don't Christianity creeping into our society, into our curriculum for our students. And they don't. So I pledge to you that I will do, if I am the next governor of Tennessee, that we will develop curriculum for our students, Tennessee public schools, that includes our values. We will pull out sin, those values that aren't our values. unapologetically. Witness every that I hold up, the way that I carry all those allowing state resources to support ideology, religions, and lifestyle. And you can make sure, by the way, that we don't pay your dollars and give those corporate welfare to organizations, companies that are at odds with our values. The second thing I could think about is that epitomize this country out of Tennessee values. About this. When we give $30 billion to Starbucks, exactly what buy this garbage that Starbucks has found.
$1 million to Starbucks. And that's exactly what we're doing. And don't by any means buy this garbage that's
to educate us about transgender. Ideology. I will fight.
what we believe as Christians in this nation and in this state. And I will fight to make sure that doesn't continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Rose. Representative Fritz, how will you protect Christian culture when it is under attack by the political left and threatened by the growing influence of foreign religions?
Thank you, Josh. I think the first thing we have to do is take a strong stand that we are a Christian-founded nation and a Christian heritage state. It's clear in our, as I just quoted the Constitution a few moments ago, but I'll even go back to that Declaration of Independence, that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that we're created equal, and we're endowed by our Creator with certain and alienable rights. Among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Our founders, in that document, recognized the laws of nature and the God. What we weak males of today have allowed to take place is that we have adopted a polytheistic worldview. Polytheism is the same as it was 2,000 years ago. And footing with the false and pagan gods, and I will speak. So when I realized I had sat with Governor Lee, and he was trying to push red flag laws on me and a couple other state reps, and he was pushing hard for that. It's unconstitutional. It's weak.
Violence in our homes, on our streets.
I left really frustrated. Left the governor's mansion pretty frustrated. I started pinning my grievances about what was taking place. 9,000 children in state's custody. Violence in our homes, on our streets.
Because we've departed from
drunkenness. And I come to this epiphany of thought. We can't legislate ourselves out.
And so,
the founders intended this nation to be. We need a move of God. And so, thank you. I was honored to have the opportunity to pen House Resolution 803 and then subsequently 51. So that every July in the state of Tennessee is a month of prayer and fasting seeking God's healing hand. We call out the Father as Creator and King of all glory. And
I'm so honored to have gotten to written.
we ask the Lord Jesus to heal our broken land and remove the corruption in our government. And we ask the Holy Spirit to fill our courtrooms and our classrooms. Now, I'm so honored to have gotten to have written that, my friends. But it's a piece of paper unless we men first move. I think Almighty God is calling on hearts of men in this room and women in this room and all across the state. I think I hear bones rattling in the dry valley. I think that there is a move in the state of Tennessee for bold men to stand up and embrace what God has given us and act like we're thankful. I think when we compromise on transgender things and abortion things, let's just put it clear. If there is not equal protection under the law for the unborn child, then we are not pro-life. One of my good friends is in the room. We asked the governor to veto something that was passed, unfortunately, in our General Assembly that guaranteed access to contraception, including morning after pills that can be abortifacient. And to guarantee a right to IVF with no controls on it. I believe that, like our Tennessee Republican Party guiding principles state, that life begins at conception. Whomever we win, I know Congressman Rose is a good man. We must push back on the General Assembly and retract that horrible law that we allowed to be signed in. We must. And we must be a strong voice to uplift the name of Jesus in Tennessee. Now that is not politically correct. It gets me called names on TV and it gets a few pieces of hate mail, but it's very simple. No matter what your work is, if you're a born-again Christian, whether you're laying blocks or dragging 12-2 wire, whether you're a tech company CEO or the governor of the state of Tennessee, you're a kingdom builder, and we need to act like it. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Fritz, and you will begin the third question, and you led into it well. In Tennessee, we are one of the more restrictive states toward abortion, but we still do not have equal protection, and we had an equal protection bill in the House that was killed in subcommittee that would have made abortion murder, which it is. Amen. And right now, my understanding, the ones who carry out an abortion, it's a Class C felony, 3 to 15 years in prison. And for the one getting the abortion, my understanding is there are really no consequences. And there's still access to ordering abortion pills online or leaving Tennessee to get an abortion somewhere else and coming back with no consequences. So as governor, will you work to truly end abortion in Tennessee? If so, how?
I will. And I want to take a moment to pause and give my friend Jody Barrett a hand. Stand up, Jody. For what some of you may not know, this man had the courage to draft that equal protection for the unborn bill. Three of us in the General Assembly in the House signed off on it out of 99. So here's where the task falls on you folks. You need to light up your representatives and let them know that life matters to you and that you will not tolerate the murderous environment. Article 1, Section 1 of our Tennessee Constitution declares that we, the people, have the power. All power is inherent in the people. So it's important for you all to get on your phones and on your email and say, we expect this to pass. I stood in committee next to Jody as one of the co-sponsors of that bill. And I was so disappointed that a group of Republicans failed to even give him a motion or a second to discuss that bill. We must correct that, my friends. As governor, we're going to push hard on those folks in the General Assembly, talk about it open and often and on the media, and be as convincing as we possibly can that we must end abortion in the state of Tennessee. If we desire God's blessing on our land, we must do this. If the Lord is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore, as He tells us He is, and I believe that's true, then the way He looked at innocent blood flowing in the streets 2,700 years ago, He looks at it that way today. And whether that blood is flowing by scalpel or by peel, He looks at it that way. And we must hold those physicians and those medical centers that not only use scalpels, we think we've eradicated most of that in the state of Tennessee, but what we have not eradicated is those cursed peels. And even have undercurrent law. So I'll challenge both of the other people. Now, one's not here. She's stuck in an elevator somewhere, I'm sure. But I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. But I'll challenge both the other Republicans. Let's remove that House Bill 533. Let's never allow the fact that if you want to buy a condom, you buy it. Your taxpayer money should not be paying for those. And we should not be encouraging abortifacient morning after pills. And if we're going to have IVF law in the state of Tennessee, by gosh, we better put some controls on it that honor life rather than what we've done. Those become sins and stains on the state of Tennessee that Almighty God is going to judge and to punish. And I know that's uncomfortable. Even in this room, it's uncomfortable. But it is a time that we stand up and we do the right thing.
Thank you, Representative Fritz. Congressman Rose, same question to you. Will you work to truly end abortion in Tennessee, and if so, how?
Well, again, I want to begin tonight by saying telling you about what I've done, both in my personal life and in the role that I've had as a representative of the people of Tennessee. So my connection to the life issue goes back to fairly early in my career. Early on, I practiced law for a brief while, and the law firm that I worked at in Chattanooga, Tennessee was widely regarded and known as a Christian law firm. And I was proud of that fact, but I was more proud and am today of the influence of those devout Christian men and women that I worked alongside, and the example they set for me and the example that I have followed through the years because of what I saw them doing in their lives. And so at an early age, I was brought into supporting in Chattanooga, Tennessee, what in those days was called AAA Women's Services, a crisis pregnancy center. Today we call them, pregnancy centers for women and various other names, to try to be more appealing to women. Today that program is called Choices. And so at a young age, I became a supporter of the ministry that they had, the services they provided to try to encourage young women to choose life. One of the most uplifting parts of that story is that there came a day when AAA Women's Services, the lawyers that were mostly a part of supporting that group and the governance of it, learned that the only abortion clinic in those days in Chattanooga, their lease had expired, and the building that they had been in for years was up for sale. And in a matter of hours, we were able to marshal the participation of folks across Chattanooga to buy that building and evict that tenant. I moved on from that firm, but throughout my life I have continued, and Chelsea and I have, to support pregnancy centers, including the one in Cookeville, Tennessee, that we've been a proud supporter of. When I got to Congress, immediately, as I've told you earlier, I engaged with the groups in Congress in the Republican conference that were involved in protecting life. God creates life, and life must be protected. And Representative Fritz is right. Abortion is murder, and it cannot be tolerated. And so I'm proud that Tennessee has a law that pretty completely eliminates abortion in all cases, except in that rare instance when there is absolutely clear evidence that the life of the mother is going to be put in jeopardy in the case of a pregnancy, where it's a choice essentially between protecting one life or the other life. And that's where our law is today. And so I have worked again in Washington to pass legislation to support efforts to make sure that our tax dollars are never used to fund abortions or to fund any of the procedures. Now, when we don't control Congress, you know, we lose on that fight. When we don't control the presidency, we lose, unfortunately. And one of the most horrendous things that has happened during the Biden administration that frankly, we're still fighting to get restored is the access to medication that induces abortion. And we've got some fight left to do there to get that overturned. And so then let me turn to what I'm hearing as I travel across Tennessee, the experiences I've had. You know, Chelsea and I have been blessed with these two little boys, but some of you know we lost a child. We had a little boy named Mac Wayne Rose. Chelsea's water broke when he was at 19 weeks. And we hoped that maybe somehow that could be, that she could be kept in a condition where he could reach viability, but that didn't happen. And so she ended up delivering as a stillborn, Mac Wayne. And I got to hold him in my hands. And even though I had been committed to the notion of protecting life, when I looked at that little baby boy, 19 weeks old, and I saw his face, and I saw his little hands and his little feet, and I knew then ever so more forcefully about the power of life and what God grants us and what God gives us. Now, I don't know what God's plan was with Mac Wayne, but I know he's in heaven, and someday I'm going to get to see him and meet him and get to know him. If you elected me to be the next governor of Tennessee, we will do everything we can to fight to preserve the laws that we have and to strengthen them so that we stop abortion in its tracks in this state, that we do not allow it to happen. And I will tell you, I think the real fight there is these medically induced or medication-induced abortions. We simply cannot allow that to happen in our state. We have to get that stopped. And so whether we're able to do that at the state level or whether we're able to advocate to get that done at the federal level, we simply must protect the unborn. The scourge of the death of so many unborn babies will be on this country. God will hold us accountable for the tens of millions of lives that we've cut short. And so I call on all of us to work together to make sure we end abortion in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Rose. Our last question submitted by the Young Republicans, and again, Congressman Rose will get the first part of this. We see the misuse of our tax dollars that's already been referenced tonight, and our tax dollars working against us, against our values, and state funding going to NGOs who hate us, who push an agenda that is against our values, from the transgender movement to LGBTQ to mass immigration. We see your tax dollars being used and funneled through NGOs and other avenues. So, Congressman Rose, will you investigate and remove state funding from radical left-wing non-governmental organizations, also known as NGOs?
Well, thank you for that question, and I think this is an important question, and I appreciate the discernment that it takes to recognize that sometimes the way these bad things happen is masked from us and kept under a cloak of secrecy in a way that we're not able to see. And I alluded to this some earlier. as I talked about some of the corporate welfare that Tennessee dispenses. But let me first talk about what I've done on this. As a member of Congress, I have worked hard to root out where Congress is funneling money to these NGOs. And I will just tell you there was, frankly, an epidemic of this during the Biden administration. We all know that. And frankly, it's one of those things that we still don't have a complete handle on. We see around the country, particularly the liberal states, who refuse to cooperate with federal authorities in the Trump administration, who are trying to root out that very kind of fraud and waste and abuse of our resources, where we're funding just outright fraud, but in so many cases sending money to these non-governmental organizations. And so there's a lot of work that has to get done at the federal level, and it's been my pleasure and my pride to work alongside conservative-minded Republicans to find those problems and to root them out and to end those programs. One of the ones that I was proud to vote to end last year, that the President was spearheading the effort, was the USAID program. You know, as a young man, when I studied agricultural economics, I had, I guess, a Pollyannish view of what USAID did. And we all remember, we've all seen many times, that red, white, and blue USAID label on bags of commodities, wheat and such, that are being handed out to starving people around the world. The idea of USAID was a great idea, but Joe Biden and before him even President Obama corrupted that good idea, and so we saw that those resources were being used for all manner of untoward things. We also saw the Biden administration support these non-governmental organizations in hastening the entry of illegal immigrants into our country. So the federal government has a very unfortunate and checkered history here. And I will tell you, it's difficult to root all that out, but this president's working on it, and the Republican Congress has been the Republican House, I should say, has been right along his side to get those things ended. What am I hearing about this? Tennesseans hate this, right? They hate this. They want to see it stopped. They don't want to see their money being used to support these organizations that, again, are at odds with our values. And so they expect a governor that will root this out. And we can't believe, frankly, that Tennessee has found all of that misuse of our tax resources. And so the next governor has got to be committed to digging in and finding that. But there's one glaring, obvious thing that we're doing, and it's the corporate welfare that we're giving out. And those corporations then use their money to do what we wouldn't do and we would never support. I've already mentioned Starbucks, but think about the Tennessee Titans. For goodness sakes, we gave them $500 million to build a football stadium. And yet their players kneel when the Pledge of Allegiance the national anthem is being played. And they support these issues that are at odds with where we are as Tennesseans. And so we've got to make sure that when we're giving your money to someone, that we simply demand that they live up to the high expectations of the values of Tennessee. And as governor, I will make sure that happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Rose. Same question to you, Representative Fritz. Will you investigate and remove state funding from radical left-wing NGOs?
Yes. And so the difference is it goes back to what a person has done being a leading indicator of what they will do. I've voted against the last two budgets in the state of Tennessee because they had nonprofit dollars and corporate welfare in them. I'm glad that that message is catching on because your pockets are being emptied in Tennessee to pay for things like John mentioned, the Titans and Starbucks and Oracle. And I'm sure that someone in Nashville wants to use your tax dollars to bring AI data centers into Tennessee. I'm certain that the tech giants are after your dollars. They want you to pay for what they profit from. We set $25 million this year, $20 million to the Nashville Zoo and $5 million to the Knoxville Zoo, both nonprofits, Listen, I'm a Republican. I had to sign a doggone piece of paper saying I'd never do anything bad to an elephant to be a Republican, right? But it is not our collective responsibility to pay to keep those zoos open. You can do that if you want to commit some charity to the zoo, that's okay. Tax dollars going to these businesses and to these nonprofits, those tax dollars are taken at gunpoint. That's why we have to get rid of the 4% grocery sales tax in the state of Tennessee. We are equipping a reprobate behavior in Nashville that they think that the OPM, other people's money, is more their money than it is your money, and we must correct that. When I say don't DC my Tennessee, that's really the first thing I think about, because we're $39.34 trillion in debt right now. We end up going up another $1.8 trillion each year in deficit. We won't vote to cap that. We won't stop the bleed. We don't need a Band-Aid. We need a tourniquet on the bleeding. We send $5 billion to foreign refugee welfare. How can we do that? How can our congressmen and our senators vote to do that when we have homeless veterans in Tennessee? We approve the expenditure of your tax dollars for hush funds. Why would we ever do that? I understand there's a move now to expose that misbehavior. Most of those people need to be fired anyway, and if it's because they've been chasing the girls around the office, all the more reason let's get rid of them sooner. In 6 years, our budget in Tennessee went from $37.5 billion to $59.5 billion. 59% increase. 59% increase. That was even more of an increase than the crazy national debt. It only went up by 56. You should be concerned about spending in Nashville, Tennessee. And you should be concerned about sending a D.C. career politician to make the decisions about what your budget's going to look like in the out years. You have my commitment to do this. I won't be putting things in a budget request for corporate welfare. I will not. We'll invest in infrastructure that all Tennesseans benefit from. We won't build ball fields in Knoxville or Nashville out of your tax dollars. And if the General Assembly decides that they want to sneak in a little pork, I'll veto it, and crucify them publicly for wanting to spend your money.
Thank you, Representative Fritz. We will now move into our audience-submitted question. These questions have been submitted by you at this table, and yellow is Congressman Rose, and orange is Representative Fritz. We will pull the questions randomly and give each candidate equal time and opportunity. They are not getting the same questions. You all wrote specific questions to them. So Congressman Rose will start, followed by Representative Fritz. And it's hard to tell the difference between yellow and orange in this lighting.
Not if you're a volunteer.
He's taking shots at the moderator. All right, Congressman Rose, we're going to try to keep these to 3 minutes so we can move through more of the audience questions. Congressman Rose, what are the specific steps you would take as governor to ensure Tennessee has sufficient energy sources?
Well, thank you for that answer. And, again, so proud to be here tonight for this forum and to take questions like this. And this is a question I've heard over and over again. In fact, as I've traveled across Tennessee, access to energy is one of the primary concerns that Tennesseans have. Not every everyday Tennessean thinks about that, but anyone who's involved in serving businesses or making sure that we have the energy and power that we need, they know the problem. And that is today Tennessee is turning away opportunities because we don't have the electric power that we need to power Tennessee. And so that's depriving us of opportunities. Whether those opportunities are homegrown or whether they're people coming here to our state, we've got to address that. And so, you know, early on in my time in Washington, I got very involved in the American Nuclear Society's monthly meetings and started attending those back in 2019 and have continued right up to the present. And I was struck when I first started going to these meetings by the lack of real clarity that seemed to exist about how this nation was going to power itself going forward. Early on, I had some really informative meetings with the then CEO of the Tennessee Valley Authority. And he really, I guess in crystal clear terms, explained to me the challenge that we face as a country. You know, TVA's been in existence, I think we're in the 93rd, 94th year of TVA. So it's taken us those 93 years to get to where we are today in terms of power generation capacity in Tennessee. But in order to do what we want to do by 2050, we would have to increase that by threefold, 3 times as much power. The only way that we can do that using existing proven technology is with the use of what we call, and what the nuclear industry calls, third generation nuclear power. Now, this is your grandpa's nuclear power. This is the nuclear power that's generated in all the nuclear power plants that are in service today across the nation, almost 100 of them. And so that's the future. We just have forgotten how to do this. We've lost our muscle memory about how to build these plants as we gave up on it a long time ago. But we've got to relearn that. And so that's the bad news. We've got to build a lot of these things. The current prevailing thought is that the way to do this is to build what are called small modular reactors. And the great news is that Tennessee has the first in the nation site permitted to build an SMR. And just in recent days, just this week, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission has come out and said they're going to move to approve the construction permit for a small modular reactor at the Clinch River site. So Tennessee is in the pole position to get America back on track. We need to build probably as many as 40 of those here in Tennessee, in the Tennessee Valley Authority area. Probably as many as 400 across the nation. We haven't built one yet. We got to build one, and then we got to start to reacquire the capacity to do these things. So Tennessee, I think, has already provided some leadership there. This is one of those things that I'll tip my hat to Governor Lee and the legislature, because we put in place a task force to think about this and to get the ball rolling. And there's been some real successes. Tennessee is really in the eye of the storm when it comes to standing back up the nuclear technologies in this country. And so we've just got to make sure, the next governor's got to make sure that we stay on the bleeding edge of solving the state's energy problems and the nation's energy problems. And I'll take all the knowledge I've acquired and bring it to bear to make sure that we produce the energy that Tennessee needs for the future. Thank you.
That look orange. Thank you, Congressman Rose. Representative Fritz, how do you plan to fund transportation/roads since you plan to remove the gas tax?
That's an incorrect question, first and foremost. One of the other campaigns apparently put out a misgiving about a letter I wrote. We made a proposal to remove the fuel tax on diesel and gasoline just for the remainder of last fiscal year because we had over-collected. We were operating under a $59.8 billion budget. There was a forecast of $64.1 billion being collected. As of the end of March, we were $335 million in excess in collections. When I looked at the gas prices, and they were $4.14 a gallon, and 10 months earlier they had been $2.72. The AAA said that we're 50-something% up. So we sent a letter suggesting that we suspend collection of that tax for basically that last month of the year because it would have helped Tennesseans. And I want to get rid of the grocery sales tax, so I added that in the letter too. But those were those were temporary things to show the people of Tennessee that somebody in Nashville is actually paying attention and that we want to help the average working person in Tennessee. I'll spend the rest of my time on nuclear energy, if that's okay with you. I'll be the only candidate that's running for governor that's done a nuclear criticality safety course at Los Alamos National Lab. I'm the only one that helped write the uranium strategy for the Department of Energy in 2014. I understand that supply chain. One of the first bills that I passed as a state representative was to put in a energy policy for the state of Tennessee, and then to restructure the State Energy Policy Council so that we make sure that the General Assembly and whomever the next governor is has good, solid advice from a group of non-paid professionals. Everything from nuclear criticality safety, nuclear waste, oil and gas extraction from the Highland Rim to crude oil processing out in Memphis, Tennessee, where we have 1% of the nation's sweet crude refining capacity. So I would offer that I am certainly positioned better than just about anyone you know to be the governor to lead us in the nuclear energy path. As a matter of fact, when I ran operations up at Nuclear Fuels, we had, I think, $200 million budget, and of those mostly 1,000 people that we had there, we fueled small modular reactors all around the world. Some of them were underneath the water. And so I understand that business. We need to get to that. But let me say this last thing. We better keep coal burning until we get the uranium going.
Thank you, Representative Fritz. Congressman Rose, what infrastructure issues do you believe Tennessee faces? What is your game plan for these issues?
Well, that's a great question. And again, as I've traveled across the state and in the 50 town halls that we've completed, I hear about the infrastructure needs of Tennessee over and over again. And so, I would tell you, I think it's actually roads in particular is the thing I hear about the most from Tennesseans. And it really doesn't matter where you are in Tennessee. I was in Mountain City earlier this week. I was in Lake County at the beginning of the week. So we've been coast to coast this week talking to Tennesseans. Now, if there's anything humorous about this, and I wouldn't say there's much humorous about it, but the interesting thing is wherever you are in Tennessee, they think roads are the biggest problem in their area, but they think it's not somewhere else in the state. And so you hear them say that, and it always goes like this. Well, we know they got great roads in West Tennessee, but what we need here in East Tennessee are good roads. And so the issue is statewide. And the tragedy that we face, particularly with roads, but with infrastructure generally, but roads in particular, is that 25 years ago, we were in a good place. Tennessee's roads were ranked as the best in the nation, first, second, third by all estimations. We had a governor that took his eye off the ball. We had a governor who thought we should de-emphasize spending money on roads. Fast forward 25 years, and we find ourselves with at least a $59 billion backlog of road projects in Tennessee. TASER, one of the groups that studies infrastructure in Tennessee, just released a report that said total infrastructure needs in Tennessee are $80 to $90 billion. So we've got a lot of needs. And so it's not just roads, it's water treatment, wastewater treatment, solid waste disposal, broadband access, cellular access. Anyone who travels across this state knows that far too often you can't hold a phone call. We just came from Hancock County, and 2/3 of the way here, I couldn't make a phone call. And so, it's frustrating, and you can't do business if those things happen. And so the next governor has got to make a particular concerted effort to allocate the resources that are necessary to take on this problem. The day I announced that I was running for Congress, running for governor, I made this commitment. I said, I think we should expand the rural interstate highways in Tennessee to 8 lanes, 4 in each direction. And so we simply have to make this a priority. And it's not just the state highway system that needs to be addressed, but our counties. Here's one of the other stories that I hear. I visit county after county, and they tell me how many hundreds of miles of roads they have in their county, and they tell me how much their budget is, and they tell me how many decades, yes, decades, in some case 50 to 100 years, that it's going to take to deal with that need. And so we've got to figure out a way how to help, particularly our rural counties that have limited revenue sources, to address the road problems in those counties all across Tennessee. So this has to be a top priority for the next governor of Tennessee.
Thank you, Congressman Rose. Representative Fritz, how will you, as governor, make Tennessee a state that prioritizes native-born Americans over foreigners?
So, thank you, Josh. We look back at the history in the United States. In 1970, 4.5% of the nation's population was non-native born. That number last year was about 15.7%. I think we've hit a saturation or a supersaturation of point in our assimilation. We've had failed federal leadership in this so that we've not pressed for an assimilation. We have colonized places around the nation with Somalians or Ethiopians or some other people group, and we've put them in small communities and not required an assimilation to our cultural values. We found ourselves with a great problem there. One of the first things this governor will do is speak openly and often that not only do we need to deport, as we talked earlier, about all those illegals that have come into the United States, but I think it's time that we start thinking about stopping all of the H-1B visas that we... We could use a pause on our immigration for a while. It would not be the first time that's been accomplished. We didn't start bringing third country nationals into the United States until sometime recently. And we have brought the third world into our world. And that is a problem. All human beings that Christ died for, that if they will confess with their mouth the Lord Jesus and believe in their heart that God has raised him from the dead, they can be saved, just like us, same as we are. But they bring a culture in that does not work in our nation. So I spoke a little bit earlier about employers, and I want us to have a robust economy, and I want to support our business. But let's be honest, those companies that are bringing in folks from Mexico and working them under the table and providing housing for them as they work them so that they don't have to pay you the wage, they are unpatriotic in their view, and they need to be called out for that. So I think, as we discussed earlier about setting up a task force for the human trafficking, because in essence, friends, that's really what's taking place. Sometimes it is foreigners that are trafficking these created in the image of God men and women into our country, and sometimes it is businesses that is perpetuating that, either in the labor trade or the sex trade. One thing I'll offer there in closing, Josh, we must move in Tennessee so that human trafficking, whether for the sex trade or for labor, carry a penalty of up to capital punishment in this state. There's no room for slavery in Tennessee.
Thank you, Representative Fritz. Congressman Rose, what are your thoughts on data centers potentially owned and operated by the Chinese or other nefarious groups building in Tennessee?
Good question. And again, not a new question that I've heard, but great to have it heard in this kind of a forum where Tennesseans can learn what I'm hearing and can also learn what needs to be considered as we think about who our next governor is going to be. The issue of data centers is one that is very personal to a lot of people and should be, in my humble opinion, decided by local communities. But we need state leadership on that. We need a state policy that says and gives guidance to local communities so they understand what the risks are and they understand what the potential benefits are. The question is tailored and focused on Chinese companies. I haven't really heard a tremendous amount of information about the Chinese specifically wanting to locate data centers in Tennessee. In fact, quite the opposite. What we hear in Washington from the intelligence services is that the Chinese are actually putting money into this country to stir up dissent and to try to convince Americans that we don't want data centers. Well, why would they do that? Because they want those data centers in China. And why would they want data centers in China? Because they want to control the future. And they know that artificial intelligence and control of our information in their country would be to their benefit. So we have to keep that in mind and keep that in perspective. But the question of data centers is still a very relevant question for Tennesseans, right? It's very important to know what is happening here and make responsible decisions about what we do with our land, what we do with our energy, our scarce energy resources, what we do with our scarce water resources, all of which are called upon for these data centers. And so I'll give you a classic example of where that goes wrong, another example of where maybe it goes right. The example of where it goes wrong is a data center over on the Cumberland Plateau, a data center that is the second biggest user of electric energy in its area, and it created 8 jobs. 8 jobs. The number one user of electric energy in that particular area is a manufacturing concern, uses just a little bit more electricity than that data center, creates 1,000 jobs. Folks, it's not hard to figure out how that went sideways for this community. So we've got to fight to make sure that local communities understand how to evaluate the opportunities that come their way, and then have the power, the ability to step in and say no when they think it's the right decision. Our opponent that's not here tonight and is afraid of these kinds of forums, she recently was saying about a data center intended to go to Nashville next to the Nashville Zoo, and she said, well, we don't want it here, but there are a lot of rural places across Tennessee where this would go just fine. Folks, that's where a lot of us live. And so we have to be willing to say to local communities, and we should, here's what you should think about, and we have to be willing to let them decide what works in their communities and to say no when that's the right answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Rose. Representative Fritz, what is your greatest disagreement with Governor Lee's administration, and what would you change?
And this, woo! Yeah, that might be the 20-minute question. First, I would go to essentialism. One of the things that really prompted me to get into public service, because I never intended to do this, I never wanted to be in politics, was when we declared Tennesseans non-essential. We declared barbers and cosmetologists non-essential. I thought we got past that with Rosa Parks. I thought we got past that with the Woolworths counters. And so we fought for 4 years with the governor's office and with TEMA for some crazy reason. And they said that we must be able to declare Tennesseans non-essential to control the rioting. The TEMA director said that. Well, I hadn't seen the barbers in Kingston riot in some time. And so just that, I offer that example, but this is a case of an elitist mentality. And it goes to the Second Amendment. So that's where I'm going to spend the rest of my time. The greatest leading indicator of whether a public servant or a politician, two different breeds of people, think that you're an equal or a subservient is how they view the Second Amendment. If they're okay with the NFA staying in place and talking about barrel length and you have to get permission to get a suppressor and all those kinds of things, they think you are a subordinate to them. If they're okay with controlling the number of rounds or the barrel length or the whatever, or where you can and can't carry, or for my friend Bella that you can't carry on a campus because we need campus carry in Tennessee, then that elitist mindset thinks they're better than you. And when Governor Lee and many of these gutless, yeah, let me say that again, gutless county mayors and county executives declared Tennesseans non-essential. And I heard from barbers and beauticians, Monty, I'd never been more worried I was going to lose everything. That's the first thing. They have forgotten what I quoted of the Declaration of Independence. Many of these elitist politicians. Our rights come from Almighty God. And don't you dare try to just take them because you think you're something. We'll do that differently.
Let's do one more question each. We'll make these last two questions 2 minutes. We're running up on time. Congressman Rose, would you support increasing funding for the Tennessee State Guard to provide paid training drills to improve recruitment, retention, and statewide emergency readiness?
You know, that's a great question, and I think, we all ought to be, frankly, thankful for and in awe of those people who step forward to serve this country. Everybody who's a veteran, hold up your hand. Let's give them a big round of applause. If you're a veteran. And that's so true of our National Guardsmen. Many of them serve active duty before they become guardsmen. Some are guardsmen throughout their careers, but we ought to revere them and support them in every way that we can, because they stand up and put themselves in harm's way, and particularly in recent years when we've gotten involved in so many wars and conflicts around the world, and we've depended on the National Guard to come to our aid and to fill the void and to go around the world and serve, and many times putting those people in really excruciating situations because we pull them out of their careers and send them off to serve this country, and they do so willingly and gladly and proudly, but we ought to support them. And so we also call on the National Guard to do all manner of things, right? Every time there's a problem. In Memphis right now, the Memphis Safe Task Force, staffed with National Guardsmen, and I get to see them when I'm down in Shelby County, and I'm so proud of what they're doing and the impact that it's having. We see them in Washington, D.C., where they have come in and gotten crime under control in our nation's capital city. And then we send them when there's all manner of emergencies, hurricanes, major storm events. Anytime there's a social disruption, we send the National Guard. And so the breadth of what we ask these service members to do is really nothing short of extraordinary. So yes, I think this state ought to step up and make sure that at every step, we're doing everything we can to prepare these men and women who wear the colors of this nation and who put themselves in harm's way to defend us. We ought to, at all steps of the way, make sure that they have the support and training that they need to be able to do the things that we ask them to do. And so absolutely, I would support that. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Rose. Representative Fritz, your 2-minute question.
It's been good to be with you tonight.
Been good to be with you too. Is this still orange? What do you say to parents who
Want and need.
There you go. Sorry. I'm colorblind and I can't read.
Roane County High School, 82.
What do you say to parents who want and need to keep their school vouchers because the public schools have failed their children?
Thank you for that question. I say that we've got to demand excellence in our public schools. Article 11, Section 12 of the Tennessee Constitution doesn't allow us to expend public funds on private schools. It says that the General Assembly shall provide for the maintenance, support, and eligibility standards for a system of free public schools. I think we made a great constitutional error in enacting that. I intend to stop them as the next governor. I do think, to whomever asked that question, that as a public servant, I heard Glenn Jacobs say recently something about us governing. Let me say this, just to make sure y'all are clear. I don't think you need to be governed, brothers and sisters. I think, and of course, he's speaking for the candidate who's not here, by the way. You're welcome, John. You need to be served. And part of that service is to make sure that the Tennessee Department of Education stops the overuse of standardized testing, that we introduce the Bible and the Constitution all the way through a curriculum, that we get rid of the Common Core curriculum that has got most parents and many students so confused they can't do 2 plus 2. I think that we have got to make those changes. We've got to rely less on the electronics and more on the books in school. It's tremendously important. So my heart, with great compassion to whomever, I'm looking around, whomever asked that question, I appreciate it, I love you. But we must stay within the bounds of the Constitution. If we, at any opportunity, the reason that we are $39 trillion in debt, the reason our budget in Tennessee, nationally, the reason our budget in Tennessee grew by so many percent, 59, is because we've had people in politics that think that they can compromise to get things done and get outside the constitutional authority that we, the people, have given them. So, thank you.
We will move into closing statements. Each candidate will get 5 minutes apiece. And Representative Fritz, you will begin.
You know, it's been a workout getting up and down. At my advanced age, I feel like I've done squats or something getting up so many times for this. I'm so honored to be here, and I have grown to love Congressman Rose and his family, Miss Chelsea. I'm so thankful that you come tonight. I'm honored to get to do this. These people appreciate that. I think we've just set it in stone that in East Tennessee, one of us is going to win. And I want John to know that after I win, we're still going to remain friends. Hey, I won't spend my whole 5 minutes. I'll be uncharacteristic with you all. I think we face many challenges that we must dig back to what our founders thought. We must go back and embrace those principles. We must vigorously embrace our liberty in Tennessee. And we must relentlessly defend that Constitution. I heard Laura Logan say in Chattanooga recently, one of the most powerful questions I've ever heard asked, and I'll paraphrase it. She said, at the end of the day, we're going to stand before Almighty God, and there's going to be a question. He's going to say, did your children know me? Let that sink in for just a minute, the power behind that. I do believe that we born-again Christians, we have a responsibility to be kingdom builders. That doesn't mean that I bludgeon you about the head and neck with my Bible. There's coming a day when every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that Christ is King. But I have a responsibility to be light and salt. And being light means that we confront the darkness, that we call out the communists and the Islamists for what they're trying to do to this nation. It means that we don't accept rainbow flags in our schools, corrupting and confusing our children. It means that colleges and universities that use your funding, that we don't have liberal professor whistlebritches that try to confuse our students there and dictate what they think. I think I am the break glass in case of emergency candidate. I'm asking you to take the little hammer and break the glass. What we need to do in Tennessee will not be easy. It will not be painless. If you're looking for more status quo, you'll have another option. If you're looking for somebody who will charge the gates of hell that are trying to take away what we have been given by God in this state, I'm your guy. Thank you.
Congressman Rose, your 5 minutes.
Very much, Josh. Thank you. Thank you for having this forum tonight. Thanks to the East Tennessee Young Republicans. Yes, let's give them a round. And I think I can speak for Representative Fritz when I say this. The water is warm. It is a little deep, but we welcome others to come on in and see if they can maybe swim with us. It's been an honor to be here with you tonight. And I want to begin by saying I'm not running against Monty Fritz for governor of Tennessee. I'm running for Tennessee. And I want to say a word to Monty and Denise and how much I appreciate. Politics is a rough and tumble enterprise, right? It's not for the faint of heart. You don't get into this if wear your feelings on your shirt sleeves, because they're going to get not only hurt, they're going to get abused. But I want to say a special thanks to Monty for a message that I recently saw on social media. It was brought to my attention where he asked his supporters to lay off of my family, and thank you so much, Monty, for that. As I wrap up tonight and I share with you, why I'm here and close out what I would bring to Tennessee if you elected me to be the next governor, I want to pick up on the theme that I started with in the beginning, which is to worry about the future. Where is this country going to be? What will future generations think of us? Will they believe we stood solid during our time to uphold the Republic and to defend the rights and liberties given to us by God and preserved in our Constitution? That's what really matters, folks. That's how we'll be judged in this time, in future years, and by our Creator, frankly. And so it matters who we choose to be the next governor. As I think about our other opponent in this race, consider that 76% of the donations that she's received have come from outside Tennessee. Do we have to have any question about who's going to be calling the shots in Tennessee if Tennessee chooses her to be the next governor of this state? So it's important that we make the right decision. It's been interesting to talk with you tonight, and I will just tell you, I appreciate all the questions that have come forward, and I think I can speak for Monty when I can say we wouldn't mind probably taking the rest of these questions, but I know probably the circumstances don't allow it. But I will tell you, we'll continue to be coming to counties all across this state and holding open forums, and we welcome you to come and ask your questions, and we'll take on those questions one by one. The commitment that I give to you is that I'm ready to go to work. I'm ready to go to work on day one. There won't be a need for on-the-job training. I'll be ready to go to work for Tennesseans, roll up my sleeves, and take on the challenges that face this state. And I also commit to you that I will remember how to get back to your county after I'm elected as governor. And I pledge to you that we will work hard to make sure that your values are represented every single day in Nashville, that we work with and sometimes to hold accountable the General Assembly to make sure they're delivering for what Tennesseans want and for the values that we need to uphold here in Tennessee. We need a governor who will be committed to do that. Now, I've learned in business that it's important to delegate. It's important to have a team built around you. One of the commitments that I made with particular emphasis on education is that if you hire me to be the next governor, we'll have a commissioner of education who spent time teaching in a Tennessee public school classroom. And I don't have to tell you why that makes sense, but apparently that's been hard to figure out in recent years. But we'll also do that across the breadth of state government. We'll find people who know what it's like to be in the trenches. And we'll also seek out people who represent the broad geographic diversity of the state, because it matters that we know what is needed in each rural county in this state. One of the observations that Chelsea makes when she's speaking is she thinks about where have our governors come from in recent years. And we ought to be proud of our governors, and we owe them our respect for the sacrifices that they've made to serve this state. But consider this. Our current governor is from Williamson County. The governor before him was from Knox County. The governor before him was from Davidson County. And the governor before him was from Shelby County. Now, think about it. I come from a place called Smith County. It's a rural county. You may come from a rural county as well. What do those rural counties have in common with the 4 counties that I just named? Think about it. Well, they're all in Tennessee. And maybe that's where it ends. And so I would submit to you, as you think about the next governor of Tennessee, that it may be time, because we have to go back 32 years to Governor Ned McWhorter, who was a Democrat, to find a small-town Tennessee governor. And I think it's time that we have someone who can bring the understanding of small-town Tennessee to the governor's office, so that we can be sure that all values of Tennesseans are represented. And I think that it's time for that. You know, the candidates for this office, we could all do other things, but we put ourselves forward because we want to serve. And I don't want to be too generous to anyone, but I think that's true for everyone that's running. And so I give my thanks to them for putting themselves up for consideration. And you are the folks that get to decide. And so tonight, I tell you, I hope I can earn your vote. And I do ask you for your vote to be the next governor of Tennessee. Thank you.
How about a round of applause for both candidates? It's great to be. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. You were a fun crowd, and this was a special evening that we got to share together. Thank you to JTV for hosting us. And thank you to the young Republicans who worked so hard to put this event on. And it's not just this event. They've been working all election season, door knocking, putting out signs, hosting other events, engaging voters in any way that they can, and is much appreciated. If you are 18 to 40, we have our information table over here. If you are interested in joining the Young Republicans, if you live in the county, we're exclusive, 18 to 40, the cool kids. But if there's a chapter in your county, we can plug you in there. Or if there's not a chapter in your county, we can talk to you about starting a chapter. We'll also have donation boxes. We'll have ushers at the exits holding donation boxes. You can tell we do not have any sponsors for this event. We did not charge you to attend. So your support would be much appreciated. Cash, check, or QR code on the screen to our PayPal. Also, Knox County GOP is hosting their Reagan Day Gala August 28th. Most importantly, early voting begins next Friday. Early voting is next Friday, July 17th, and Election Day is August 6th. Please get out and vote. Good night, and God bless.
Right, so that was the event. I'm trying to get somebody to come over and say hello. Trying to work on getting Monty Fritz to come on over, or John Rose, or one of the two, to sit down with us and talk to us. We got our camera all set up for that. Yeah, so that should be interesting to see how this goes. Thank you for all hanging in there and watching it. We had some technical difficulties early on, and we're here now. You need to be the executive producer. Come on, you got to get him for me. He's probably right here in the middle, just talking. Let's go grab him. I know, but just tell him we want to talk to him. You also grab Austin. I was just thinking, also grab Austin and tell him you want your both of them at least. But try to get Monty first because he knows you. Try to get Monty Fritz to come on over and talk to us for a bit about the event. I talked to him before previously, and gotta get this microphone all fixed here. There we go, much better. Yeah, that's John. I haven't spoken to John, but he may come over for a few minutes. I don't want to leave the stream going, but I can leave the stream. I'm gonna leave the stream, guys. We're gonna keep it open. I'm gonna go see if I can talk to one of the candidates, get them to come on over with us and talk to us about what they experienced here. Hold on.
This is me. I think It was really creepy. It was even it got better but the sun and the white light wish everyone wants to be
All right, everybody. We are back after all of that. You got to watch everybody. Yeah. So we're back. We're going to have Monty and John Rose join us. They're doing pictures, they're doing a few things, and then they're going to join us here at the table, one each of us. Definitely John Rose. I just talked to his people and him. Monty's going around taking pictures with people and hanging out. I told him to come on over as well. Let's see if he remembers. And we'll have some fun. So stick around, stay tuned for that. I'm going to try this new camera setup here. All right, I'm going to stop the screen share. There we go. All right. All right, so if you got any questions, put them in the chat. I'll try to get them answered by them. Clean up the chat since I've been gone. Okay, great. I'll just clean up the chat a little bit. Yeah. So we're going to ask some basic questions and have some fun questions for them at the end here. Some political questions to start off, finishing up from the event here that we just talked about, and then some fun rapid fire round questions at the end, just to kind of make it fun for everybody and kind of end on a high note for this stuff. So I apologize earlier about the audio issues. What happened was we didn't have a microphone set up near the candidates, so we're relying on the microphones here to blast it better, and the sound quality was not very good in here. So I'll try to get a clean copy. What I ended up doing was streaming it from their feed. Therefore, I was able to kind of patch in at some point through like a workaround. It wasn't a direct feed, so it was an indirect direct feed. And that fixed the sound issues. So the camera issues, when the sound got fixed, that was their camera running everything. So sometimes the vertical feed was a little off, like their people were off screen or whatever. That's just because I'm running a vertical and a horizontal feed. Everything on the horizontal looked great. The vertical feed kind of just, like you see my hand a little bit off the screen, but it's on the screen on the horizontal feed. So it's just the matter of what's being captured and what's not on the screen. But that's my problem, not yours. So we're hoping to get Congressman Rose and Representative Fritz to the table. Well, Monty came by earlier and said that I'm still his favorite interview. So I like that. I don't remember if it said favorite interview or like smoothest. I'm still the smoothest interviewer he's ever been with. That's what he said. I'll take that. Quote, put it on my website. Quote Monty Fritz. Joey Ruffalo is the smoothest interviewer. And he stopped what he was doing because he was in the midst of a celebrity. My wife. No. That was me. So thanks everybody who hung out. We've been streaming for about 2.5 hours. Truth Between Lines is over here. They're doing a takeaway as well, post-show analysis. They get definitely more into the politics of things. So if you're looking for a more political takeaway of tonight's episode, a couple more interviews with some politicians early on, some candidates and stuff, definitely give them a watch and a follow over there at Truth Between Lines. I appreciate that, guys. What do candidates think of the budget for the moment? That's a great question. That's a great question, Shan. I'm gonna start charging you guys. It's a great question. I'm going to bring that up. That's one of the questions there because I think that's very important, for sure. So I will definitely get that. Great. Well, they turned on the lights. I don't think I need my ring light anymore. Let's see. Oh no, I actually do.
Oh, yeah.
I actually do need it. We're just going to hang out, be here for a while they do their thing, finish shaking hands and kissing babies, and then they'll be over. I'll ask that question for sure in there. That's a great one. Anybody else got any other questions? Put them in the chat. I'll try to get them in. I'm only going to have a few minutes for each one, probably about 5 minutes or less. And one question might be the whole 5 minutes. You know how these candidates get. So they get very talkative for a while there. I got to kind of keep them. Oh, here comes John Rose. I think he's coming over to the table. And we're going to see if he's going to. He's not coming to my table. He's going somewhere else first. Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't want to announce that on the radio or live stream, but he's taking a quick break. You grab another water, though, too, please. Thank you. Oh, yeah, no worries.
Oh, is it?
Everybody hang around a little bit longer. He's going to be back shortly. I'm going to fix that camera feed. We're going to fix the feed here. So Testing, 1, 2. Okay, perfect. I think we got that set up. And John Rose is going to join me shortly here. Trying to remember your making sure I got your questions set up. All right. I'll probably put it on the screen when I ask it so I can read it off the screen. I have my notes questions for him. Yeah, go ahead. All right, we're gearing up a little bit. I know it's kind of just nothing going on right now. We're waiting for Congressman Rose to get ready to sit down and do a quick interview with us, and then we'll clip that out and we'll make sure that it's clean and easy for later. Yeah, the audio was so bad earlier, man. How you doing? Good to see you again.
Yes.
Get you down here. Make sure I got you good on camera there. We're good to go. It is. I'm running for Alderman in Farragut. That's my campaign stuff. Ruffalo, sir. Yes. Got a mic for you.
Okay.
All right. So camera's there, but we don't really care about the camera. We're just going to have a conversation and talk a bit. Congressman Rose, thank you for joining the Prosperity Lounge. It's a couple questions for you, and then a rapid fire round. It's going to be a lot of fun at the end.
Okay.
What motivated you to get into this race?
Well, so, I had, run for Congress back in 2018 because I was deeply concerned about the future of the country.
Mhm.
I feel like that we're at risk of leaving it to the next generation in worse condition than our parents left it to us. That mindset is what sent me to Washington to help President Trump because I believe he had the right formula to get the country back on track. But I also am coming home because I think founders wanted a citizen legislature. And so Chelsea and I talked about this when we were thinking about running, and we decided 8 years. That's how long you should stay, and then you should come home, and another American should pick up the mantle and carry it forward. I think I have some leadership left in me.
Mhm.
And so, at this point, I thought, I think I could be a good governor for Tennessee. I think the combination of the experience and background that I've had, the education that I've received, the great Christian upbringing that I've received from being blessed to be born into a Christian family, all those things I think equip me well to serve Tennessee. And so I wanted to offer myself up to work to keep Tennessee true to Tennessee.
I like we talked about the 8 years in home. That was the way it was meant to be, and that's what people were. They were farmers and they were artisans. They went to D.C. for a little bit and they came home and then they stayed home.
The founders saw the service to the country as kind of a sacred obligation. They didn't see it as a career. They didn't see it as a way to make money or to put a feather in their cap. In fact, most of them did it even though it was adverse to their own, to their own benefit or whatever. And so they felt like they were called to serve and needed to serve, and so they stepped forward to do what they thought was necessary for the nation.
Politics today is very, and you probably know this firsthand, very divided. People, it's one camp or the other. There's no middle ground anymore. Working together seems like extremely difficult. People strongly disagree with you. How do we kind of move the needle and get people to work together again.
Yeah, I hear that, and I understand why people feel that way. And certainly there are flashpoints and areas where you see that, and heaven knows we have some people in this country today, particularly in Washington, but they're here in Tennessee as well, who don't have the best interest of the Republic in mind.
Yeah.
And for those folks, I've got no comfort for them. I have no sympathy for them. There are other people who just have a different idea about how we support the Republic, about how we move forward. And so you see that disagreement. I don't think it's a new thing. If you go back and you study the acrimony around the founding of the country and even the debates around the Constitution that governs us today, they're pretty vigorous. And if you look over the history at the arc of time, this has always been here. And I say it this way to people. I think if the founders came back and came and looked at Congress, I think they'd actually be pretty tickled that it works the way it does, because they wanted a deliberative process. They wanted government to be kind of twisted up a notch. They wanted this kind of rigorous debate because they knew it would lead to consensus. And that consensus probably wouldn't suit anyone, and that's what kind of happens today if you think about it. I mean, there are times when we get the upper hand and get what we want, but there are more times when we have to compromise. And that drives us, and we ought to be vigorous for what we believe in, and we see that happen in Washington. But you also should keep in mind, and most people are not aware of this, if you look at what Congress does, the vast majority of it passes overwhelmingly. So we agree on a lot more than we disagree about. It's just that those disagreements are about the really consequential issues of the time, and so they capture all of the attention, and that's what the media.
And they're publicized so just so broadly nowadays, and everybody has a voice instantly to react and respond to things, as opposed to something passes, it has to be ridden by horseback to the town square and read, and then by the time people respond, the country's moved on. But you think about those debates you talked about. I miss those days of the Lincoln Douglas debates and people actually using their words
Absolutely.
to have the conversation rather than
to see us take that on, and I might regret it, but I think it would be good for Tennessee to see just that kind of vigorous debate. I think it would really distinguish who's prepared and who's not.
Absolutely. So I had a question that came in earlier while the guys were going on from the chat, and they wanted to ask both candidates about the budget for the Department for Mental Health and Substance Abuse. They're an employee for that department, and a lot of their coworkers are curious about the budget and plans for that.
Yeah, so, this is an area where, frankly, Tennessee, I believe, is failing miserably. It's not just a Tennessee problem, it's a national problem. We are not taking care of the chronically mentally ill in our state and across the nation. And I hear about this as I travel around Tennessee. I hear about it from healthcare professionals, particularly emergency department directors. I hear about it from our sheriffs. I hear about it from homelessness advocates. And the vast majority of the people who are cycling through the jails and through the emergency departments and are homeless, so many of them are actually suffering from chronic long-term health conditions. And sometimes those then they are associated with substance abuse, and sometimes the substance abuse, comes about as a result of essentially a self-medication of the problems that they're facing. And so this state's got to do more. We're not doing these people any favor when we lock them up in jail, but we're not providing them with treatment. We're not doing ourselves any favor financially when we're allowing them to go to the emergency room to get the care they need. And we're certainly not helping them or society when we allow them to live homelessly. So we've got to take on that issue, and that means we've got to be honest and sober with ourselves.
Oh, you're good. No, you're good. Yeah.
So we've got to be honest with ourselves, and the state has to take this problem on and solve it. It seems to be, or help to better address it than we are presently.
One last question before our rapid fire round: is there something tonight that you were hoping to hear from your opponent, and was there something that you said that you thought resonated really well for you?
Well, gosh, I've done so many of these town halls in recent days that it all kind of lives together in my mind. I think with this crowd tonight, probably partly because they're supporting me, partly because they're supporting my opponent. I think this is an overwhelmingly pro-life crowd, and I think that issue resonates with this crowd. I think it resonates broadly with Tennesseans, and that's heartwarming. It's an important issue for me, and I know it is for Monty.
Yeah.
And so I like that. And I forgot the first half of the question.
Oh, if there's something that you were hoping to hear from your opponent that you didn't hear.
Well, I don't guess so. I mean, he was very gracious to me tonight, and I appreciate that. And he feels earnestly about many of the issues that he advocates for. And so I've heard him speak a lot on the campaign trail, so I've heard a lot of the positions that he has. So I didn't really see anything or hear anything there that was out of step with what he normally talks about.
And I do got to say, I do appreciate the fact that you brought up the keeping the families out.
Yeah.
That's important. I'm kind of going through that a little bit right now. So,
Sure.
That's big. All right, rapid fire round.
Yes.
First thing that comes to your mind, 10 questions. This is going to be a little difficult for you because it's all Tennessee based.
Yeah.
All right. Your favorite place in Tennessee, East Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, or West Tennessee?
East Tennessee.
All right, barbecue, Memphis dry rub, pulled pork, or ribs?
Pulled pork.
Neyland Stadium or Grand Ole Opry?
Grand Ole Opry.
Dolly Parton or Johnny Cash?
Dolly Parton.
Moon pies or Goo Goo clusters?
Goo Goo clusters.
Favorite hidden gem in Tennessee that every resident must visit?
Fall Creek Falls.
What's the most underrated small town in Tennessee?
Oh, now that one's interesting. That's tough. I'm trying to think about one that comes to mind that really stands out. I've been to so many. I'm having a senior moment here of thinking about which town I want to
There's so
say
many that
about.
were great.
Yeah, there's so many great towns in Tennessee. You said small town.
Small
right?
town, yeah.
I would say Jamestown, Tennessee.
Okay. All right. If you had one free Saturday anywhere in Tennessee, where would you spend it?
One free Saturday?
Yeah, where would you spend it?
Gatlinburg.
Okay. I want you to finish the sentence for me. Tennessee is special because
Of our people.
The last question for you. What's your personal definition of prosperity? Happiness. Congressman Rose, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for being on the Prosperity Lounge. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Thank you for stepping up and running, and good luck with the campaign.
Great to be with you.
Where can people find you at? Congressman Rose?
JohnRose.com.
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 All right.
Thank you.
Week to go.
Thanks for having
Thanks
me
for
on.
having me. Thanks. Appreciate it. Awesome. All right. That was.
I'm going to think about that.
Well, you can always send me a message when you think, and I'll update it. All right. That was Congressman Rose stepping up here and sitting down with the Prosperity Lounge and hanging out there for a bit. Great questions, great answers. Hope Monty Fritz will come over. Thank you so much. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you. Absolutely. Not yet. Yes. He's, when he's done shaking hands, he said. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get Monty Fritz on a little bit. Kind of ask him the same questions, I think. Same rapid fire questions for sure. I will ask him the question about the budget question as well. Probably the same questions for that I asked Congressman didn't have a lot of time. Monty has more time, so I may get through a few more questions with him, but we'll see how that goes. Thank you all for hanging out, being here. And then we'll put this up as separate videos on the channel as well. Each person's interview is a separate video. Try to corral Monty Fritz to come over. He's hanging out, walking around. Crowd's still here. It was a packed house in here. Every seat was just about taken. So it was about 400 people, I think, that fits in here. They actually added a bunch of seats up front. They normally don't add, which pushed us over to the corner where we're at right now. But Monty's coming over. Our friend's bringing him over. They get that camera back on here from Monty. Monty Fritz.
Hey, Joel.
Thank you, and welcome back to the Prosperity Lounge. We got a microphone for you.
All right. The big
I know.
microphone. My goodness gracious.
So, got a couple questions about tonight. I just interviewed Congressman Rose. Same questions. I don't know how much time you have. I can get a couple more out of you, maybe, but I won't be respectful here. And then I have a rapid fire round for you.
Thank you.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. Give you pause and think. All right. We talked about this on the show. You're on for the full length interview about your reasons for running. I just want to kind of reiterate that again. We're getting very close now to election time. Last time we talked was January. Now we're a week out from early voting.
Yep.
That motivation to run is still the same motivation to run.
It's a calling of God. I don't know why anybody would do this of their own volition. I mean, tonight was fun.
Yeah.
Congressman Rose did a great job. And, it's good to be here with a great room full of people. But I'd rather be with my grandkids. I'd rather be working on my Harley. I'd rather be shooting or hunting or working in my garden or whatever.
I hear you.
But the state's in trouble.
Okay.
Many people have a hard time realizing that. And while we're better than all the other 49 states, they're not the measure. They are not the standard the Constitution is. And if we allow that incrementalism of saying, well, we're better than Wisconsin, or we're better than California, we're going to find ourselves lacking. So,
I hear you. You get in next 2 years. What's the first thing you're trying to solve?
Budget is very top of my list, so that we leave more money in your pocket, more money in Sevier County, more money in Roane County. Starting with the grocery sales tax, I'm going to push that hard. The state portion of the grocery sales tax. I want to see property tax reform, taxation against unrealized capital gains. These assessments every 4 to 5 years. No bueno. We need to fix that. And, we should never have a Tennessee citizen evicted from their home for tax delinquency. We've got to fix that. And then third, in the money, is the corporate welfare thing. We've been preaching that for a long time. And I'm glad the message is catching on. It's caught on with John, it's caught on with other people. They're realizing that we're spending money extra constitutionally. We've got to stop that. Secondly, we've got to recalibrate Nashville, Tennessee, so that those commissioners realize that they work for us and under the authority of the Constitution.
So speaking of the budget, we had a question that came in during the program from the chat that asked about a budget question. I asked Congressman Rose the same question. What do you think about the budget for the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse as an employee for the department? A lot of the coworkers are curious about budgets and plans.
Okay, read me the question one more time.
What do the candidates think about the budget for the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse? They're an employee of the department, and a lot of their coworkers are curious about what's going on.
Yeah, I think over the past couple of years, we have been, I think, good to I voted against the last two budgets, right? I think the mental health part of the budget's been good. I voted against the corporate work that was in those budgets. Not going to support that as a legislator. I think that we probably have some more input that we need to make for mental health, but it's not all just money. All right? We often get fixated on we'll throw more money at the problem. Yeah. Sometimes what you end up with is just a more expensive problem. So we need to make sure that we're executing the dollars correctly. And I think we've got a problem with that in a lot of our state agencies, from TDOT to DCS to and Department of Safety.
So speaking of the economy, families nowadays, obviously we're feeling that inflation. We're seeing gas prices fluctuate daily tremendously. We know it's world stage stuff that's there. What's the one policy that would make the biggest difference to Tennesseans on day one of your administration?
Treating them as equals and opening up the governor's office on a regular basis so that the citizens of Tennessee have the opportunity on a monthly basis to come sit down with the governor. Maybe it's for a couple minutes, maybe it's for 5 minutes, depending on how many shows up. But I think that we have across the state, from our west coast at the Mississippi to the Smoky Mountains, we have Tennesseans that feel like they've been left out and nobody in Nashville's fought for them. I think we've got to turn them.
Yeah. So what was one thing that you said tonight that maybe you didn't expect to say, but you said it and it went over well? And what was one thing you were expecting to hear from your opponent that you didn't hear?
I would have expected, I'll start with the latter. I would have expected to hear from my opponent an apology for being part of getting us $39 trillion in debt, for sending $5 billion to foreign refugee welfare, or for providing the slush fund a vote. I think those are all things that Tennesseans are concerned about.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I don't know, the little cut about Marsha being stuck in an elevator seemed to go over pretty well. I like that.
It did go over well.
On the snarky side.
You had a nice crowded contingent here tonight. It was good to see. Rapid fire round time?
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
3 more minutes.
Perfect. 10 questions, real quick and easy. Favorite place to be? East Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, or West Tennessee?
Depends on the time of the year. I'll say Middle Tennessee.
Okay.
In the spring, I would say in the summertime, I like West Tennessee. It's hot. It's different. You cannot beat East Tennessee in the fall and winter.
Love that. All right, barbecue. Memphis dry rub, pulled pork, or ribs?
I'll have to go with the pulled pork.
Neyland Stadium or Grand Ole Opry?
Oh, Neyland Stadium.
Dolly Parton or Johnny Cash?
Johnny Cash.
Moon pies or goo-goo clusters?
Moon pies.
Favorite hidden gem in Tennessee that every resident should visit?
Paris, Tennessee.
Most underrated small town in Tennessee?
Kingston.
If you had one free Saturday anywhere in Tennessee, where would it be?
Home. after the past few months of this, a home to make my house look like someone lives there is probably going to be it.
All right, finish the sentence for me. Tennessee is special because
God has blessed us. He's poured out his blessing on the state, and he's given us people with a robust spirit, a volunteer spirit.
And I know this answer because you answered it before. Your personal definition of prosperity.
Might be a little bit different than it was the first time. My definition of prosperity is being able to succeed at what God has called a person to do. And it's not determined by dollar figures. It's not determined by zeros after those dollar figures. It's determined by answering the calling on one's life and understanding that you can be prosperous in a tent and you can be prosperous in a mansion. Sometimes you're happier in the tent than you are in the mansion. So I think that prosperity has to be being in alignment with what God has called you to do.
Love it. Representative Monty Fritz, thank you so much. Best place to visit you is montyfritz.com.
It is Fritz, Fritts, the number 4TN.com.
FritzForTN.com.
Or all the social media. Just look for Monty, Monty, Fritz, Fritts.
That's the thing. You have the most, I think, fan pages on Facebook.
So none of those are mine. It's a little. It makes me nervous.
Well, this guy earlier came in the chat and he said, "Hey, post this link in our Monty Fritz fan group. We got 3,000 fans in there." Like, okay.
Yeah.
He's got fans everywhere. I looked it up and I couldn't find it because there's so many Monty Fritz fans groups.
It's very humbling. It's very humbling.
I appreciate
it. That's it. They see this poor old guy taking on these things and being straightforward, and they realize how hard it is on him.
I'm going to get there one day myself.
They're just about feeling sorry for me.
Well,
thank you, Joey.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yeah, have a good rest of your day. My wife wanted a picture of you.